Hey guys, back at it again. It's Jamie. I got a guest here, doing something different here, trying something new. If you're a fan of the Oscars, well, we got something that could be interesting to you. Like I said, I do have a guest. I think it's his first time, well, definitely his first time on here. It's Alex. Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Alex. I love the Oscars. I've been watching the Oscars for the last 10 years, so I'm excited to be part of these videos here, reviewing the best pictures from each year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like. So yeah, he basically said it. So this time around, we're doing, as the title says, for the video, we're doing the '05 Oscars, which is 2004 movies, and we're just going through the best pictures and seeing if we think. Well, first of all, we listed them. We gave our own scores. That's not how we're going to do it going forward. I just want to say that ahead of time so people don't get attached to the way we're doing it now, because in the future we will have three, maybe four people, which should be fun. But in this case, just since it was just the two of us for this first one, we kind of gave our scores, averaged them out, and then we got the top five as far as what our top five is for this year. This is still when they did only five movies, and going forward though, we'll do top five averages a little bit differently. But uh, me and Alex, '05 Oscars, the five movies being Finding Neverland, Sideways, um, fucking blanking on movies right now. The
Ray,
Ray,
A
holy crap,
The Aviator,
Aviator, and
Million Dollar Baby.
Million Dollar Baby. My God, my brain failed me for a second there. Obviously, Million Dollar Baby won Best Picture. We're gonna go through what we got the lowest average to the highest, and we'll go through each movie, talk about it, how we felt about the movie. At the end, we'll bring up some ideas of movies that came out in 2004 that we thought should have got nominated, maybe should replace some of these other ones. Another thing I didn't discuss with Alex at the very end, I have like a tier ranking thing where we're gonna rank the 2005 best pictures, and I have like certain like levels as far as where it might go at. Uh, but yeah, I think this is a really fun idea, especially getting closer. I mean, this kind of is Oscar season-ish, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call, especially with movies like Smashing Machine and One Battle After Another that just came out recently.
Gabby's
Uh,
Dollhouse.
what? Oh
Gabby's
yeah,
Dollhouse.
yes, Gabby's Dollhouse, The Strangers Chapter Two, yeah, those
hmm
kinds of movies they always make it in. So I thought it'd be a pretty cool idea, and play along. If you gotta, what do you think the top five is for you? If you've seen all the movies, if you haven't seen all the movies, but yeah, we're just gonna get into it with our fifth movie.
So our fifth ranked movie in the 2005 Best Picture nominees is Finding Neverland, which stars Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet. It's basically the story of J.M. Barrie, his friendship, who is played by Johnny Depp, his friendship with Kate Winslet's family and how that inspired the story of Peter Pan. Um, so this is a 2004 movie. It's directed by Mark Forster, um, who did um, what are some of his other movies he did. I think he did World War Z, which this is a very different movie from World War Z,
Yeah, for sure.
obviously.
Completely different
Um,
movie.
um,
He
but
did
I
a
rated
Man Called
this.
Otto,
Okay, so like
Quantum of
some newer stuff
Solace.
still, still
Probably,
pretty.
probably the worst Daniel Craig movie.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So I rated this a 73 out of 100, and Jamie, you said you rated it a 77,
76, 76.
76 out of 100. So we'll start with like what we liked about it. What was your big thing that you liked? Some of the things you liked in this movie.
Um, I thought it did a really good job of like, as far as like people have pushing the whole idea of imagination and how kids should be kids. And I mean, they do an example within the movie. The oldest kid eventually by the end is kind of becoming an adult, as the J.M. Barrie, Johnny Depp points out. I think the message is really strong in this movie. Um, I first also want to say, just because I don't want anybody to kill us in the comments or anything, I know J.M. Barrie. There's some things about him that
Controversial.
controversial, yeah. But like we're not discussing this. This is fully based on the movie. It's not based on the real J.M. Barrie. But yeah, I just like I think like this is a really good movie for a kid to watch, even though it was Oscar nominated, obviously.
Mhm.
It's definitely a family film. Um, and I like the performances a lot too. I thought Johnny Depp was really good. Kate Winslet is always great. Uh, I thought the kids were good. Yeah, I mean the performances across the board were really good. Uh, yeah, I mean, did you think it had a strong message as well?
So I thought it was very heartfelt. Definitely, it brought out some emotions for sure. Which like me personally, a little bit about me is I don't like movies like this. I don't watch animated movies. I don't watch PG movies. So this is definitely a movie I wasn't necessarily looking forward to watching. But I did think it was heartfelt. Like I agree with you. I think it had a good message. And
Maintaining your
showing,
innocence is like the big thing. I think that's like
yeah, and
literally what this movie is.
yeah, and the Peter that I mean that's the basically he kind of named the whole Peter Pan off of the youngest
Yeah.
child that goes through the traumatic thing of his of his dad passing, and then obviously Kate Winslet, spoiler alert, dies towards the end of the movie. um and having to deal with both of those people dying from a young age, and he's in the midst of all these children. um I think it is powerful in that it does, like you said, it's about preserving innocence and getting to be a child when you are a child and trying not to grow up so quick. But like I think Peter in this movie, along with some of the other kids, had to grow up quick. And dealing with grief. I think it had a powerful thing about grief that even, obviously they're gone, to teaching a child that, your parents gone, but you can still imagine
Yeah.
them and still like carry them on through your imagination and things like that. It was a very important thing. I also just want to point out like the irony of Johnny Depp dressing up as a pirate in this movie, obviously is.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't even think about that somehow, but yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, like the Peter having to deal with his dad's death, and then Johnny Depp's character kind of pushing him into being more imaginative, and then eventually, Kate Winslet's death. Um, it's tough. I just, yeah, like overall, just the message. I like when it came to this movie, like I had a hard time like really pointing out anything bad. For me, it more
Mhm.
so came not that to get into negatives right away. I there's not really a scene outside of maybe one that I like really think about that I'm like, yeah, that scene really stood out.
Right.
Outside of the performance side of things, like yes, you remember the performance stuff, and like, but the scene to me that stood out the most to just stay the positive side of things is the scene where he comes to do the play for Kate Winslet at the very end. I thought that was
Mhm.
really impactful, really well done. Really sad, but also like kind of what's the word I'm looking? I mean, it's sad, but it also, is
It's like a sweet ending.
uplifting. Yeah,
Yeah.
uplifting also. Which I thought was really cool. And you did get connected to, especially like, I mean, really all the characters. I felt myself probably most connected to Kate Winslet's character, just because I think I like her as an actress quite a bit. So, it was just easy. She's easy to connect with a lot of her characters. And I just thought, yeah, they're just really good. And I thought her and Johnny Depp had great chemistry together. Uh,
Mhm. I agree.
is there are those the two performances that stick out the most?
Oh yeah, like I think those are the most. I mean, I thought Kate Winslet was decent. I didn't think as highly of his performance as you did. I thought Johnny Depp was solid, but not like amazing. Also,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen
I,
better Johnny Depp performances.
just a different role than I'm used to seeing him in. Obviously, the one thing that I didn't love about the movie, I just didn't. I thought sometimes I thought the transitions were a little like rushed and just not very smooth. And also could be because I watched it on Pluto TV, which has a million ads. But
Doesn't
um,
help.
it was kind of, I mean, it was definitely, I mean, it's a short movie. It's a short runtime. I think it's around an hour 40. So I feel like
Ye-
there's a lot to try to pack in. And so they do skip over certain parts.
I mean, it's kind of yeah, especially for like something that's kind of like a biopic, even though it's not really a biopic. But I mean, it kind of is, but it's not really tackling J.M. Barrie's life really. It's more just, tackling his time period with eventually making Peter Pan and
Right.
the kids that influenced that. So yeah, but I also feel like this movie was too long. I would struggle with it even more.
I agree. And
Uh,
we'll get to that. I had some issues with that with some of these other movies that they were too long and it
yeah.
was like a biopic type style. Um, I mean, but overall, I thought it was a decent movie. It didn't really move the needle for me. Like, like you said, it's a movie that it was nice. I'm probably not going to watch it again, or will I think about any of the scenes or performances in this movie? But I mean, it's a solid movie, heartfelt for kids. I thought the score was good. I think we talked about, the score won an Oscar. I think it was nominated for, I believe, 7 Oscars overall. Johnny Depp was nominated as well. But yeah, I think it's the bottom of this list for me. So I
Well,
had it at
yeah,
73.
you talked about the Johnny Depp being nominated. I mean, of those Best Actor nominations, which I think I have up, um, he was he'd probably be last for me.
Yeah, I would
If
probably agree
if
because
I'm being honest,
it's Leo and Aviator. It's Jamie Foxx and Ray. Um,
it didn't Paul Giamatti get nominated? Clint
no, he didn't get
Eastwood,
nominated.
no, he didn't. Clint Eastwood for Million Dollar Baby, and then Don Cheadle for Hotel Rwanda.
Mhm.
Um,
So
so yeah, I mean, I've never seen Hotel Rwanda, but there's other four I would have taken over Johnny Depp,
yeah, I
and
agree.
Johnny Depp has better performances in other movies. Not that he's not bad, but just saying, I feel like he was like the last edition, or felt that way, anyways. Um, but I will say one other thing I want to point out as a positive before I, rein it in. I like this stuff. Actually, another one of my favorite things about this movie, I like the stuff between Johnny Depp's or Jan Barry's character and his wife. I I thought they did a really good job of not making either one of them look bad in that situation. Like obviously
Mm.
Jan Barry wasn't paying attention to her, but she also, didn't try
She
as hard as she probably could have. Probably both sides of
and
that,
she very much
really.
wanted, yeah, she very much wanted more of the status and the rich, luxurious
Yes.
lifestyle where he was worried about being successful in his musicals and his plays and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I also don't blame the wife though, because to go to hang out with another woman and her kids that's a lot to ask consistently also. So I just thought it was cool that they showed both sides. Neither was made to look like they were terrible people. But yeah, but I have the same issues Alex does. I don't really think much stands out as a whole as far as like scenes go. Like I was never like outside of one of those that last scene I talked about, or one of the last scenes I talked about. This movie never really hit me too much. I also thought the first 20 minutes or so were tough to get through. I
Mhm.
was like, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
how I feel about this movie right now. It definitely picks up, which is nice, but I think it's a solid movie, and we'll get into if we think other movies should have made it over this movie, but solid. Definitely didn't love it by any means.
I would agree. So our fourth ranked movie in this Best Picture nomination class is Ray. Um, Ray was directed by Taylor Hackford, who really didn't do too many movies. I mean, after this, he really only did one other movie. Um, but he did The
Devil's
Devil's
Advocate.
Advocate was the main one he did before Ray. This movie was nominated for 6 Oscars: Best Picture, Directing, Film Editing, Costume Design. It won for sound mixing, and also Jamie Foxx won Best Actor in a Leading Role. So Jamie, how did you have Ray rated out of 100 on your rankings?
I had 75. So you guys are you guys will kind of see how we had them ranked individually, I guess, over time. I mean, obviously, you could tell I actually had Ray at 5 and Finding Neverland at 4. I think I might have said differently earlier, but yeah. Yeah, so I had a 75.
And I had Ray a 78 of 100. So Jamie, you can start about what you kind of liked about this movie. What stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I love how it wasn't afraid to dive deep into the negative side of Ray Charles. 'Cause a lot of times when I have problems with biopics, which biopics are very hit or miss for me, I tend to have the problem like they seem to only show the good stuff and they don't really show the bad stuff. Like that's what I've heard a lot of the Queen movie. That's why I kind of stayed away because I'm not saying like I need to hear or see all the personal stuff, but it just it makes for a better movie, which you could say is wrong or right. But I love how it dives into his drug addiction, how it goes into like how he is was as a father, uh, how he didn't want to be like I guess his absent father and kind of was in return, and I love the music. I mean, I'm not like a huge Ray Charles fan, but like I recognize some of the songs, and he obviously makes really good music. And I appreciated some of the record company stuff. Did you like? Did you like? I don't know. I know you're not as maybe as crazy into music as I am, but like, did you like how they kind of dove into like some of the record side of things?
No, I do. I think that was a good touch because it's probably part of it that might get lost in like a biopic about Ray Charles is kind of the stuff he had to do with jumping from his initial success to when he really like exploded and was much more popular and trying to make sure he got enough money for himself. You can see it throughout the movie, the first house they buy until the last house they buy. Him and Kerry Washington, who plays his wife in this movie. Also, I don't know if if you haven't really figured out, this is about Ray Charles. It's about that's what Ray is about. I didn't
Yes.
mention that, but yeah, it's kind of implied, but. Um, I thought it was a very powerful movie about drug addiction and just like rising to fame for someone that came from nothing. I thought the pace was really good. That was one thing I really liked about this movie. The pace was great the whole way through the movie. I didn't think it really felt slow in any instances for me personally.
So that's where
Um,
we're gonna differ. I I agree it's a bit faster, but that's actually my issue with the movie. I felt like it was just jamming things like just one after
yeah,
another. Like it was just I there's some like it kind of gets better in the second half, but the first half is very much like let's get from
go
this
go
scene to
go.
that scene to, like and I don't really
Yeah,
like that because I like to live in the scene. Like I like to enjoy what I'm watching. Like I want to
yeah,
feel the performance. I want to chew the scenery, as they say. And I just feel like a lot of for like especially the first half, it gets better as it goes, but I just feel like we're just jamming one thing after another, and it just kind of lost me in spurts.
yeah. I see. I
So
really like the fast paced work for me for the first like 45 minutes. I do. I mean, retrospectively, I do agree that the first 30 45 minutes is very slow or very fast, and then it kind of slows down a little bit in the middle. But then obviously, the ending, they basically just abruptly end the movie, which was one of the reasons why I had to rate this movie a little bit lower because the ending was just, I mean. It went from him going to rehab for all of his heroin. Also, for me personally, like I'm sure, I mean, I don't know much about Ray Charles before watching this movie, but I feel like they spent like the last hour of the movie talking about heroin. Like that's what the whole movie was about: heroin, heroin, heroin. The movie, like, and I thought it was like kind of overkill because at the end, you know. they talk about, I mean, when he went back after Jim Crow and everything was still going on and all the
Segregation
controversy around
stuff.
that in the South, about him. It was a 2 minute scene about, him refusing to perform in a place that was segregated, and then they didn't really touch on that, and then it was more heroin, and then him going to rehab, and then the last scene is him getting, them Georgia unbanning him from performing. I just feel like they could have touched more on that. Like that, I mean, that's a big impact, I think, for a lot of people, of color and minorities with Ray Charles is he came from nothing and how successful he was.
Yeah,
Um,
they definitely focus more on the negative stuff. You could I definitely argue that. I mean, I appreciate that they are willing to go into that stuff, but I do agree we probably should have got more of like him coming out of the addiction or more of him. But I mean, even though we had a lot of the addiction stuff, you still got a lot of cool like performances. A lot of, like I said, some of the record company stuff, the whole segregation thing. Like there was like some scenes here and there that were very uplifting. But yeah, I agree. The ending, the ending, it felt like it went really fast. Like he, you know, got through the drug addiction, and the next thing you know, the movie's over.
yeah,
It
that's
does
that's
kind of
kind of
wrap
how
up
I felt.
fast.
Yeah. But speaking back on the positives, I thought um the costumes and like some of the colors and the editing were really good for this movie. I really
Yeah.
like you said, like they did his like real life hardships and intermixed with him playing. And like, I saw a review about this movie before I watched it where it said Jamie Foxx is Ray, and I'm like, I would 100% agree.
I
Um,
I
Jamie
I
Foxx won Best Actor for this movie, and I think he did an amazing
yeah, it's
job.
obvious. Like I thought about this earlier. I was like, damn, just named some guys and like, damn, DiCaprio was really good and Clint Eastwood was really good in these movies, and
Hmm.
I'm just like, they just stood in most other years they might have won. They had no chance in this one. I really don't think
No.
it was that close. And I think DiCaprio is great in The Aviator. But as we'll get to, but I just this is a legendary performance that and this
Hmm.
is gonna kind of get into the negatives. I think his performance is bigger than the movie. Which
Right.
happens sometimes. There's no doubt about it.
I mean,
Um,
recently you think about, I mean, when I think about the examples of that, I think of Brendan Fraser in The Whale.
yeah.
The movie itself is okay, but his performance is just so amazing. And then, I mean, I would kind of feel the same way about The Smashing Machine with The Rock. I kind
Yes,
of feel similarly.
that's a great one.
Like
I would never want to see that movie again, personally, from a movie aspect, The Smashing Machine. But The
mhm,
Rock is great.
yeah, and they transform into that person. It's
Yeah,
just it's incredible. I also think there's a lot of good chemistry in this movie. I think Jamie Foxx with Kerry Washington.
yep.
Which ironically they also link up again later in Django. If you think about it, they're partners in that too. Obviously, this is a little different
Also,
because he comes back to save Kerry Washington, Django, and this time he kind of just he says, "Ah, you stay with the kids. I'm gonna hang
yeah,
out with Regina King for a while and do
yeah,
then
Regina
shoot
King,
up
she's
some
great
H."
too in this movie.
Yeah, that was another one I thought she definitely should have got like a Best Supporting Actress nomination. I think she stood out the most to me outside of
Yeah,
Jamie Foxx in this movie.
yeah, I thought her and Carrie were both great. But yeah, it just well, by the way, if you want a Smashing Machine review, I'll put it in the links down below. Um, but yeah, I he's just there's just sometimes like, do you even bother showing up if you're like, I mean, I know they probably at that time didn't know, but like, how do you not go in the, like if Leo was watching Ray, was he like, oh man, I have a chance of winning, or is he just like, what the fuck?
I think he would probably just like, I mean, obviously he still has, I mean, he didn't win still like up to this point, even 15 years later, he still hadn't.
Yeah.
Um, so, but the other thing that I don't know if do you have anything else you want to say that you liked about the movie? I was going to get into, because some of the things that I thought could have been a little bit better.
No, no, go ahead. You're good.
So while I did appreciate, the drownings, like them flashing back and, the foreshadowing of of his brother, Ray Charles' brother drowning, in the beginning of the movie, I feel like, I mean, I don't know how realistic that is and true to real life. I just feel like maybe there isn't an answer. I don't know, but they didn't really dig into deep of why, Ray didn't really act, tell his mom, nothing. He just kind of stood there and watched, um, which I thought was interesting. Which obviously, I think the impact of showing that in the movie was showing why he was addiction and dealing with one being blind and two all the fame that he was getting. Um, but I would have liked to see them explore that a little bit more. Now, again, it's 2.5 hours, so I mean, you would have to cut some out. And like I said, the ending's very abrupt. So there was like 40, there was like a 20-year gap from, towards the end. So, I mean, but overall, I think it was pretty good. That was really the only thing the ending just killed it for me. I just, how abrupt and they just jumped like 20 years. I mean, yeah. It was one of those you're like, you gotta be kidding me. This is the end. This is it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike the ending as much as you, but the more I think about it, I definitely didn't love it. I mean, I kind of hinted at what I didn't like about it to begin with, which is just I was not as much of a fan as the beginning pacing. I just felt like it was way too fast, and that went on for a little while. They eventually kind of lived in some scenes after that, but I just I'm also just the more I've watched them, I just especially these Oscars, it's like almost every movie is a freaking biopic, it seems like.
Mhm.
Um, I've become less and less fan of the biopic nature just because they're all very similar. They
Mhm.
all kind of make some of them same mistakes. I mean, I think Tarantino once said why he wouldn't make a biopic is if he was going to, he would make it to where it took part in one point in time of this person's life. Because he said it's impossible to like take this whole person's life and to put it into one movie, which is very true. It's super difficult. I think Ray does a solid
Yeah.
job, and like I
Mhm.
said, I don't know if this is good or bad, as I mentioned before, but Jamie Foxx, legendary performance, but the it overshadowed the movie, and I don't know if that's good or
Mhm.
bad, but I don't necessarily think it's all good because as a filmmaker, you want the performances to be great, but you want your movie to stand out more than just the performance. So I guess that's kind of
Yeah.
my major issue.
I mean, we talk about biopics, obviously Aviator also a biopic and Finding Neverland is one as well. And this last couple years, Bohemian Rhapsody, some of these other ones that have got nominated. I think if when you look, you know, at a movie that's about a real person, about their life, you look at how excellent like Oppenheimer is compared to like Ray, where I mean, it's 3 hours, you don't feel the runtime at all, and it covers so much. I mean, this movie was 15, 20 minutes shorter, and I feel like there was so much that was left out. So I mean, it's definitely difficult to do. I think um, it takes a very specific director with a very specific vision and a lot of people to be on board to pull that off, like Chris Nolan did. Um, but yeah, I think Ray is a solid movie, like you said. I think you summed it up best when you said, Jamie Foxx lifetime performance. But the movie itself is just solid. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, yeah. Let's can move on to the third movie.
So our third ranked movie is The Aviator, which again another biopic about Howard Hughes, who was a director in Aviator, and
The
his
year of
career
the
from the
biopic.
1920s. Huh?
I said the year of the
What?
biopic.
Yeah, the year of the biopic. Um, and it was about Howard Hughes' career from the 1920s to the 1940s. I had given this a 75 out of 100. And what did you give it, Jamie?
I gave it an 82.
Okay, so we have an average of 78.5 out of 100. Um, so Aviator, it killed it at the Oscars. It was nominated for 11 Oscars. Obviously, Best Picture. Alan Alda was nominated for supporting actor, directing, original screenplay, sound mixing, and then it won for cinematography, editing, art design, costume design, and then Kate Blanchett won Best Supporting Actress. Directed by
Uh,
Martin Scorsese, which obviously Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, most recently Killers of the Flower Moon. Um,
Hold on. You're gonna have to start over.
why? What'd you do?
I fucked up. I forgot. I just realized I fucked something up. So I
Which
gave Aviator I gave the Aviator an 87. I don't know why the fuck I said an 82. So
because 82 is our average, or
yeah,
81 is our average.
no, I gave it an 87. That's right. That's why he probably had the right thing, and
So
yeah, no,
that
so
equals
the original was right. Yeah, because I changed.
so
I think I
81.
Yeah, so he was right. That was
That's right.
on me.
That's right. We'll
I was
give
looking
you a
at the
fuck.
wrong fucking thing.
All
So
right. So Jamie, I'll let you start with what you liked because clearly you liked a lot more of this than I did. So I'll let you hit your highlights for this one.
I just thought, I mean, maybe a lot of it is just the magic of Scorsese. Like I love me some Scorsese. Uh, I just thought the way, so the beginning is obviously, well, beginning he's trying to get this film done and he's spending millions and millions of dollars on it. And I like how it kind of starts with that and eventually get into the aeroplane stuff. And I never thought a movie about planes would ever be that interesting to me, but I thought it was really compelling and the different airline stuff. And I really like how he also kind of showed Howard Hughes' descent into madness. I don't know. Do we know? Do you know what his actual like
I
his
don't know
what
what is.
actually was wrong with him?
I mean, he definitely has OCD tendencies in this movie. I mean,
True.
he was seeing things, which I mean would be, kind of schizophrenic tendencies. But I know for sure he had OCDs or OCDC. I'm talking about OCD. But you can, I mean, those are evident in this. I think he did. I mean, we can start with Leo. I mean, he killed it. Um, the ticks, the repetitive things, the hand washing things. Um, I mean, he did a great job of like portraying someone that would be suffering from like crippling OCD, like
Yeah.
that.
I thought he was amazing.
What else did you like about this movie, Jamie?
I thought the performances were great, as you mentioned. DiCaprio was fantastic. Kate Blanchett, like I don't really know what a whole lot about Katharine Hepburn, other than a lot of people consider her one of the greatest actresses ever. I don't know if I've seen any Katharine Hepburn movie that I can think of, anyways. Uh, but I thought she what it seemed like she was going for. She played this energetic, boisterous personality, and I just thought she did very well with it. I love the chemistry between her and DiCaprio. You could definitely see this is no disrespect to Kate Beckinsale, but you could tell the difference between somebody like Kate Blanchett and Kate Beckinsale. Now, granted, they're playing two way different people.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Ava Gard. Well, I shouldn't say I don't know anything, but I don't know a ton about Ava Gardner. But I just Kate Blanchett is one of the best actresses of the past. What has it been? 30 years at this point? I don't even know.
Yeah.
So
More than that, probably.
and yeah, and then on top of that, there's like, I don't want to hog up all the time by any means, but I'll let you go. But I have a couple quotes that I like. I thought this movie, there's some good quotes in this movie. Like, I really stood out to me. One of my favorite scenes, I'll say real quick, is the dinner scene with Leo and
Hmm.
Katharine Hepburn, or
Her
Howard
family.
Hughes and Katharine Hepburn's family. And one of my favorite quotes, he's talking to her mom and he's like, "You don't care about money because you've always had it." I was like, wow, that quote just hit. And it really hit that person where it should hit them. I just thought that scene was powerful. I could tell Howard Hughes was getting restless. Um, but like Ray, I thought this movie also did a really good job of showing the negative sides of him, which there
Mhm.
is. The 15-year-old girl thing is effed up, as well as just him not really being the best partner, especially when it came to Katharine Hepburn and Ava Gardner.
Mhm.
So, yeah, what were your thoughts?
Well, it's the same thing. You see this common themes. The same thing as like Ray. Like it's about, once they rock kind of rise up in fame and power, how much they, I mean, they're not loyal to the one that was there at the beginning and things like that. And then, he definitely think like I said, if I had to pick a two for best actor, I think I would pick Leo for his role. I think he did. I mean, you can tell he put a lot of time into studying like the obsessive compulsive tics and the certain things and the hand washing and like I think another scene that stood out to me about the OCD thing was when he's in the bathroom and the guy asks him to hand him a towel and he can't because he can't do it,
Yeah, that was a
which I
powerful
think
scene.
is a very like accurate depiction of someone that's suffering from OCD, especially to that extent. The one thing that I will say is, I mean, another Martin Scorsese movie, Wolf of Wall Street. I think there's a lot of parallels between Howard Hughes and Jordan Belfort in terms of um, their attitude of like, I can do whatever the hell I want because I just can. I'm gonna make this happen because I can. Like him building the huge plane that that he's been working on for like 15 years that he's like I'm going if it's gonna fly,
It's gonna work, yeah.
and just the amount of money that he didn't care how much money he had to put into it, he was determined to make whatever he invented happen. The one thing that I have trouble a little bit with this movie, I think the pacing is inconsistent at times, and I think some of the transitions are a little rough. I think they're a little abrupt for me personally, if we're a little abrupt. I
I mean,
think I don't know again how realistic this movie is to his actual life. I just find it hard to believe his state towards the end of the movie. Um, when he's kind of called to court by Alan Alda's character, kind of through Alec Baldwin, where Alec Baldwin's like, "Hey, I can if you just sell me, your airplane company, then I'll just let this go." And he is in a state where he's currently pissing in jars. He's like,
yeah, I don't
he's
know how
not.
accurate that was.
So for him to go to that to like completely coherently like defending himself in court, I think was just a huge jump for me. I will
Yeah,
say one of my favorite scene was the airplane crash scene. That's one of the best like disaster scenes in a movie that I've seen. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I thought that was really well done. Um, I also think Alec Baldwin was great in this movie. Alan Alda was obviously great in this movie. Kate Blanchett, personally, I thought she was decent, but she wasn't like she didn't blow me away in this movie.
do
Um,
you think that's because you don't have like any kind of attachment to like Catherine Hepburn?
I don't know. I just think, I mean, I definitely think she portrayed her very well. I just don't think she's like a pivotal part in the story that enough that it impacted me that deeply.
See, some
Um,
of my favorite scenes are with her and Leo. But I'm also like I'm very big into how you write the romantic angle. So I think for me, that's where I go to for a lot of films, like because I just think it's a
mhm,
very pivotal, should be very pivotal in movies more than not. And like even a scene like the scene where I think when they're fighting back and forth, and they're she's about to leave or whatever, and I think she found a new guy or I can't
mhm.
what was the actor's name that it's a known actor, and I can't think of who it is.
I can't remember
But
either.
I love the. This is another great quote, and I don't know if Howard Hughes was just throwing around great quotes all the time. Probably not. It's just Scorsese, killing it. But granted, I don't, whoever wrote this movie, I should say. But I love the quote. Don't talk down to me. Don't ever talk down to me. You're a movie star and nothing more. And that is such a savage ass quote. Uh, which in a way, in that moment, I could see where he was coming from. Granted, the problem is like he's also really to blame in that situation as well. So that was kind of tough. But God, there's a bunch of really good heavy hitting quotes in this movie that
Mhm.
I think that really swayed it for me at times because for me, for this film at this point in time where we're at, I just find myself remembering scenes a lot more. And that a lot has to do with Scorsese. So it's one of the best ever.
Yeah. And it was Spencer Tracy. That's
Okay.
who she ended up leaving him for. The one thing that I like about Aviator, which again I know, talked about Oppenheimer with Ray, but I think it's very similar to, he went into this great thing for the future of aviation and for, making airplanes and stuff for the Army and the Air Force and stuff during World War II and stuff like that. And then being to be completely ostracized for, not being efficient enough. He's stealing from the government, all these things, which is kind of what you see with, Robert Oppenheimer in that movie as well. With some of the interrogations that they went through. I think that was a powerful scene. And I'm sure, you know, I think it's hard for people like that who like Howard Hughes, who clearly is very controlling. He wants to be the person behind all changes, all operations. He wants to be knowledgeable of everything. And I think that feeds into his OCD, which you can see, when he's kind of put on trial and investigated and they come in and they go through all his crap. There's mud everywhere and he just is freaking out about them touching all his stuff. And I think that's when you can start to see his spiral, with that kind of spiral in the movie. I thought it was a solid movie. I did think the performances were definitely they were solid. I just liked Ray a little bit more. I think the Aviator was more a little bit all over the place. I mean, there's scenes where Leonardo DiCaprio just completely loses his shit, and I feel like I'm watching a whole different movie,
I
which was hard
guess
for me
I guess for me to compare,
personally.
if we were comparing the two, because I guess they're the two main biopics, even though you could argue Finding Neverland is also kind of a biopic.
Yeah.
Uh, I just felt like there was more movie or more scenes that I remember. There's more scenes that feel memorable in general, and like you actually feel like you're in that scene, and like it has a lot of impact and you're able to chew the scenery, you're able to feel every word, where I feel like Ray had a lot of missed opportunities with that kind of stuff. I mean, Ray, they're different movies. I mean, one's about a guy that, Howard Hughes, who's dealt with making movies and planes, and then obviously Ray was a musician, so it's a different kind of way because you're gonna have a lot of music in Ray. Uh, I just yeah I the funny thing is like when I first started, so I enjoyed the beginning of The Aviator, but there's also part of me I was like, wow, this movie's long, and I feel like if as much as I
Hmm.
like the point, like the like talking about the movie thing that he's making, if this continues in this direction, I'm personally going to be in trouble because I'm just not. It's going to be a hard sell on me. But I thought the movie really picked up for me, and I just really enjoyed um, just seeing his descent into madness. Like
Hmm.
I thought it was really well done. If I had to pick negatives, I just thought it is, you feel the length in parts, like
I agree.
absolutely do.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's hard not to. It's a long ass movie. I'll say the difference between this and Oppenheimer's, because you mentioned Oppenheimer earlier, Oppenheimer is very consistent. Like I don't feel like there's nothing, everything feels like it fits one after another. It's cohesive, I would say. Where this movie, I definitely can agree with you. It does feel jumpy.
Yeah.
Like, but there's a lot to go over. So I do get it, but I will say this: the one thing this thing has over Oppenheimer is I just feel there's more things that I would hold on to. Not necessarily that Oppenheimer doesn't have the impact, but like there's more fun stuff going on in The Aviator where
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is very serious.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's kind of a difference also. But not to compare this to Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
obviously, but two different, two both biopics with two different kinds of movies. But yeah, that's my I really really enjoyed this movie. Yeah, so let's get into our fourth one,
Hey Jamie.
Sideways.
Hey Jamie, do you want to get into our fourth one?
Yes, let's get into our fourth
I've
one.
been wondering if we were going to do this fourth one or not. People have been
Um,
asking if we're getting into the fourth one or not.
Sideways. I am super interested what you think of Sideways, and if there's like, because this movie is very interesting for me, is what I'll say. But go
Mhm.
ahead.
So, Sideways, I had given a 86 out of 100. Jamie, I think you gave 76. Is that right?
I gave it a 78.
78. So, this would be our second highest, and this is kind of like our the difference between me and you with Aviator. It's kind of we're the opposite here. I was wondering how this would kind of swing out. Um I think we'll have similar differences here as we did with the Aviator. But briefly, Sideways, if you're not familiar with the movie, it's about, two middle-aged men that are kind of going through a crisis, and the one character, Thomas Hayden Church, is getting married, and Paul Giamatti takes him on, kind of a boys' trip into the California wine country, um, before he gets married. Um, so this movie, was directed by Alexander Payne, who also did Nebraska, some Holdovers most recently. So this had five Oscar nominations, obviously Best Picture. Thomas Hayden Church was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Virginia Madsen was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And also Alexander Payne got nominated for Best Director. This movie won for Best Adapted Screenplay. Was what the one win for this movie. So, like I said, I had this movie rated pretty high. I had it for an 86. I just think Paul Giamatti in this movie is just outstanding. I think it's horrible he didn't get nominated for Best Actor. I mean, I think he just embodied, someone like, he's going through in the movie, he had just gone through a divorce. Yeah, he's a teacher that never kind of aspirated to what he wanted to be, which is be a published writer. It's a lot of those things that people go through in that midlife crisis. And then he has Thomas Hayden Church, his best friend, who he hasn't seen in years, but, is getting married. Um, and they go into California wine country, and basically Thomas Hayden Church, he realizes that his character, he's trying to hook up with all these women and stuff, even though he's about to get married, and he's just kind of a mess. And Paul Giamatti just kind of wants to be, just basically a curmudgeon, and wants to be, ruin the good time for everyone. I just think the acting in this movie, it's a very good like buddy buddy movie.
I
I
had
think Sandra Oh is great in it as well.
I saw someone say that this is the indie version of The Hangover.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, this is a very real life movie, um, that deals with like really, complex feelings. I think, the feelings of, being unaccomplished and not aspirating to what you want to be in life, and, kind of comparing yourself to other people. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you're saying as far as like, I love how this movie tackles like the midlife crisis and you're at a point in your life where you kind of lost, as Paul Giamatti's character is,
mhm.
and coming off a tough ending to a relationship and having to recoup from that, and then have your friend who's kind of like very pushy in the way that like not in a bad way in this case, trying to get Thomas Hayden Church's character is trying to get Paul Giamatti's character to get out there and like this is what this trip's kind of like that, but it's also like their last trip together. Not last trip as far as like Thomas Hayden Church, I guess, in his way to have sex
Yeah.
with other women, but
Which
uh,
I don't know if that would really stop after, how this movie ends. I don't
yes,
think that.
no, definitely not. It definitely would not. But also, it was a good way for Paul Giamatti's character, which I have his character name down. I keep saying Paul Giamatti. Uh,
It's Jack, I thought.
I
Or
do.
no, Jack is Thomas Hayden Church. I
Yeah,
think,
Miles.
yeah, Miles. I thought it
Uh,
started with an M.
yeah,
But
and I love
I
how
think,
different him and his friend are, but also like how much they help each other on the trip, but also like annoy the shit out of each other, which is
mhm,
hilarious. I think this movie does a really good job of being funny, but also being serious when it needs to be.
and
Uh,
sincere.
yeah,
Yeah.
and sincere, agreed. I'll say one of the funniest scene in this movie had me dying. The scene where Thomas Hayden Church uh, has sex with this one lady, or is about to, or did, and then her husband comes home. He ends up having to walk back to the hotel or whatever, and they have to go
Mhm,
back to get his wallet. And the scene of Paul Giamatti having to sneak into this area while getting
mhm.
this wallet floored me. I was dying. I thought it was funny as hell. I
And the
you
naked
know
guy run down the street
yes, and they
at
got
him.
it's
The
just
great
great
scene.
stuff.
Um, I think my favorite scene and favorite line is when Thomas Hayden Church is trying to get Paul Giamatti. Basically, he says that the whole point of this trip is to get his character Miles to get laid in this, this during this trip. And so, Paul Giamatti is going through a divorce, and he really just is still stuck on his ex-wife throughout the whole trip. He just is holding out hope that they're going to get back together and all these things. The one scene he ends up drunk calling her, but on a payphone. Funny enough, this time of film we're in here is 2004. Um, but the kind of he's trying to get him set up on this double date. He really doesn't want to go on it, and he's like, "Come on, we'll just drink some while before it'll be fun." He goes, "I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot tonight." I think that's one of like the funniest scenes that I've seen and lines in a movie.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you learn Paul Giamatti's character, like kind of how he's pivoted from his midlife crisis, is he's super into wine. That's his thing. He mentions he's been going up to this area for like the last like 3 years. The girl that he's kind of into, that's played by Virginia Madsen, who got nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Stephanie,
Um,
right?
yeah, I mean, he's
Or
definitely
is it
into her,
Maya?
and
I'm getting them
I can't,
confused.
I'm pretty sure I think it's Stephanie, but he definitely has feelings for her, but he doesn't actually pursue it because again, the whole thing, he's still waiting to get back with his ex-wife. Fast forward, they make it through the trip, they get the wallet, they escape from the huge naked dude coming down the street after them in the car. Um, and they make it to the wedding, and, you know, Miles' character, his ex-wife, is there, and she reveals, she's pregnant. And he finally clicks in his head that, they're not ever going to get back together.
Yeah,
It's past. That's kind of what this whole trip is about. He's trying to get past the divorce, and he just can't. And I think it was powerful in that it sometimes in life, there's not evident signs that certain things are supposed to happen, and you struggle with, resorting back to what you already know. And that was kind of like a punch in his face, a punch in the gut to tell him that, this part of his life is over. And then I really liked how the movie ended with him kind of knocking on the door of Virginia Madsen's character, and that's kind of where it ends. But yeah, what is there anything else that really stood out to you with this movie, Jamie? I know obviously
uh,
you didn't read it as high as I did, but
yeah. I mean, we'll get into I guess the negatives here in a minute. And the negatives to me aren't really about how good the film is. It's just how well, I'll just say it now. I I think this movie is really well done. I think it's written r very well. I think the acting is really good. I don't think I'm at a place in my life for this movie to really hit me. I'm not saying you have to be at a midlife crisis to appreciate this movie, but just some of the stuff that he's dealing with is just stuff that I personally have not dealt with, and like as I can appreciate it on screen, it doesn't quite hit me because like I just not at that point in my life, and I think in like 10 years or less than 10 years, uh, let's not fast forward. We'll get we'll get to a point. I'll get to a point where I think I enjoy this movie more because this movie is very rewatchable. I think of the five movies,
Yeah.
it might be the most rewatchable, just because it's
Hmm.
just easy to digest. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think I know you liked it more than me? Do you think you'll like it more as time passes, or do you feel like you already kind of have a pretty good grip of it?
I think I've really enjoyed it. I think it would hold up on a second watch, honestly, but it's just, I think it's a very complex movie with complex feelings about real things, that are relatable to many people, and that's what I thought was just very well done. There's a lot of very strong like comedic parts to this movie.
For sure.
I think Paul Giamatti is the perfect like regular Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
Like where
I
Thomas
need to
Hayden
watch
Church is
more Giamatti movies.
he's a Thomas Hayden Church is like a complete tool, and it's just like no one looks like that, in real life.
Yeah.
He's an actor and all these things. But you said about that you didn't relate to the movie. I mean, obviously that's probably why you like The Aviator because I know you're huge at making planes, Jamie.
Yeah.
Um,
Relates the wrong word. It's just
and you
I
love.
feel like I just feel like I couldn't fully appreciate some of the stuff unless I was a bit older
Yeah,
and experienced more things. Um
no, I just yeah, no, I was just giving you a hard time, but I
no, I
think
know.
I don't know, like Nebraska and holdovers, they're just like something about Alexander Payne, his style of like writing and directing is something that I like it really connect with. Like I love Nebraska, with Bruce Dern, which is a great movie. And then the holdovers is just like all and this is gonna sound weird. It's just this like movies that I want to just like eat a big bowl of soup with. Like it's just they're both like they're all like very comfortable, relatable, easily to digest like movies. And though they're tackling kind of complex subject matters, I think it's comfortable the way they discuss it. It doesn't make you like as uncomfortable as like something like that's really blunt and straight to the point. This movie had a great cinematography. Some of the shots of the
Yeah,
winery,
that's something I
I
agree with.
think, out of these five movies, I think had the best, cinematography for me personally.
Yes, I agree. I think there's great shots in this movie, like throughout. I mean, I guess the closest, second closest would probably be The Aviator. But yeah, no,
Like
this,
itself, I mean, is and some of the ballroom scenes are just gorgeous, and The Aviator as well.
yeah, I agree. This movie has some great shots. Some stuff that's even simple, but just looks great because of the setting that they're in. Uh, yeah, I mean, like I said, my negatives are more so like we kind of touched upon. The whole thing is not relating as much, but one other. I might get killed for this one, but one other negative of mine. Um, I don't give a shit about wine. So these conversations about wine sometimes lose me. And I know that's a
Yeah,
very
sure.
simple minded way of looking at it. But I just some of the conversations he'd have with like Paul Giamatti and Virginia Madsen's characters just would lose me sometimes because I know it was
Like in
more
another
there.
language.
Yeah, it's like I know it's more than just them talking about wine. It's deeper than that, but it just like I'm not a wine person, as I don't know if you are. Did you follow any of it or are you lost?
I mean, I've been on wine tastings. I don't understand it to that the extent that Paul Giamatti does, obviously. But like, I think that's what's also very relatable about this movie is like Thomas Hayden. church. His character is like, yeah, dude, whatever. I don't give a shit, and just drinks the wine. He's like,
Yeah,
mm, yes,
true.
I can definitely take everything that you're
Yeah,
talking
that
about,
that would be
which I
like
think is
me.
another very relatable in this movie because I mean, me and my fiance, we've gone to wine tastings with her parents, and they very much like understand, like not understand, but they are more well versed in like the different types and everything else. And I'm like, yep, this one's red and this one's white and this one's dry and this one's sweet. That's the extent that I understand it,
Do you
but
smell them?
uh, sometimes, but not like that. That's why some of just the ridiculousness of Paul Giamatti's character of how in depth he is with the wine.
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious.
Did you think it? This is another small nitpick. Did you think it was uh coincidental that Thomas what the fuck is his name? Jack
Hayden Church.
uh
Yeah.
his that he coincidentally meets Maya, I believe, and then somehow Maya happens to know Stephanie. Like it just kind of all came together. I know that's so stupid to think about, but again,
Yeah, I mean
it felt
that's I
very
mean
coincidental.
yeah, that's it's a little bit of a reach to kind of connect the points, but also I don't know. Like some of the scenes in this area, like and it seems like a very like rural small town area, like where everyone probably knows each other
True.
that's lived there for a while.
That's true.
Um, so yeah, it's a little bit of a a little bit of a reach. I also one of my favorite scenes of this movie is kind of the scene where, Jack and Sandra Oh's character, I can't remember her name right now, but
Maya.
um yeah, Maya, they're hooking up in another room, and Miles and Virginia Madsen's character are kind of just talking about life, and it feels like you're kind of almost watching a conversation that like you're not even supposed to be there for. Like you're really just like a fly on the wall. It's just like a very intimate scene. I just really enjoyed that scene, the conversation, the acting, and that scene I thought was very,
Yeah,
very, very well done.
we have been fucking that up the whole time. No, it's Stephanie is the one Thomas Hayden Church
I
is
think,
after.
yeah, that's what I kind of thought. It doesn't matter. You guys know what I'm talking about, or you might not, and
Yeah.
that's okay too. But
Maya is Virginia Madsen's character.
that's in. Yeah.
Okay. Once I
Um,
was saying it out loud, I was like, I think that's the case, but I could
yeah.
be wrong. But yeah, anyways, so that's Sideways. Collectively, that is our second.
Second, I
And
think
our
we gave
number,
that an 82 out of 100 overall,
yeah.
collectively. So we'll go
And
to our
our
number
number
one,
one, I mean, come on.
$1 Million Baby. I mean,
Come on.
this is
Did you expect
this one
anything
best
else?
picture. I think we both say pretty deservedly. So basically, an old coach played by Clint Eastwood. His name is Frankie in this movie. Um, he happens upon an up and coming boxer, Maggie, that's played by Hilary Swank. And basically her determination to have him be her trainer, and how they form a relationship and go on to win a bunch of fights together. Morgan Freeman's also like probably the most other prominent character. He plays the kind of like the janitor at the boxing center that they're at. Um,
Longtime friends with Clint Eastwood,
yeah,
or the character.
uh, yeah. So $1 Million Baby had 7 nominations. It got nominated for Best Editing, Adapted Screenplay. Clint Eastwood was nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role. It won for directing. It won for Best Actress with Hilary Swank playing Maggie, and then also won for Best Supporting Actor. Morgan Freeman won, and then obviously Best Picture. So our uniform collective like rating for this movie was 92 out of 100. I had given it an 89, and Jamie, you had given it a 95. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think obviously we can talk like the most prominent thing for me in this movie was the acting. I thought the acting was phenomenal. What was like Hilary Swank obviously was amazing. Who would you say was your most favorite performance out of, Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood, and Hilary Swank, if you had
I
to
mean,
pick one?
it kind of has to be Hilary Swank, and that's not just because she. I mean, obviously Morgan Freeman won too. They're all so great together. But if I had to say, Hilary Swank was asked to go a bit deeper than even both of them were. for what she was trying to portray. I This is like a side thing, but like I almost wonder if there is a different career path for Hilary Swank. Like, I'm not saying she didn't go on to do anything. Obviously, she had other stuff after this and had a bunch of, performances along the way. I just wonder if, like, if she was during this time period, or if she would have came out now and did some of the movies she did. Like, do you think she could have had, like, this is maybe a crazy take. Do you think she could have had, like, a Emma Stone arc? Like how
Yeah,
big
I think
Emma Stone is? Because like I feel like
yeah,
Hilary Swank came out in the wrong time period.
yeah, I think, you know, she I mean, definitely I think this is her peak. I mean, I think by far, I don't think there's really any question about that. I just think you really look at her filmography, she really hasn't done a ton. Like she really faded away quick after this performance, I feel
I mean, she had
like her
what? Freedom Writers. I've never seen that, but I think it's supposed to be good. I know before this movie she had Insomnia. She was good in that. I know she had Boys Don't Cry, which was a big movie, big acting
Mhm.
performance for her. But then she did like the rom-com stuff with like P.S. I Love You. And yeah, it just doesn't seem as good as she is. It doesn't seem like I mean, she was in Logan Lucky. Uh,
But again, like in a very minor role. Like
yeah.
so yeah, I think I mean maybe that was her choice. I don't really know. Um
But yeah, my question was just like, do you think she could have done that? I know Emma Stone has like a different personality, so that probably plays into it. But I like if she came out in a different era or chose a different career path, because I just think she's phenomenal when I do see her on screen.
I think like this movie, she's amazing. I can't it's hard to imagine many other actresses doing this role. Um I mean to the performance that she put on. I think if this movie would have came out like the last 5 years, I think she would be much more highly regarded, honestly, than she is now, retrospectively looking back at her career. Not saying that she isn't going to do more movies, but really she has not done like any prominent roles, like magnificent performance. I think that like you look at like she played Amelia Earhart in that movie, but other than that, she really hasn't
Mhm. Not really. Yeah,
crazy
it's just
performances.
it's interesting thing to look at. I mean, guys, definitely down below comment where do you think her career arc could have been different, and also just something that you pointed out earlier, but this point in the video, just like what do you guys think so far? Again, put in your rankings down below, and are you more on Alex's side, my side? But just let us know. But yeah, like as far as Hilary Swank goes, what do y'all think? Do you enjoy her performance as much? But where and what career path would you have sent her on if you could? I just wonder, if she would have came out nowadays because Emma Stone is like she started with like that coming of age, slightly rom-com type area. Then she got bigger and bigger, especially after coming eventually got like stuff like La La Land, huge movies like that. And now she's doing a bunch of movies with Yorgos Lanthimos. So like I'm not saying she's like has the biggest career arc ever, but she's having a pretty good one. And I just wonder if those two, if Hilary Swank could add something similar. But anyways, yeah, I think great performances across the board. One of my favorite Clint Eastwood performances. I think you mentioned earlier I think you mentioned earlier about Morgan Freeman. You don't know if he should have won Best Supporting, or you said it was debatable. I thought he was great in this movie. I really did. I I I would probably say he's my second favorite performance. I mean, shout out to Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
he was a standout for me. I mean, I know
yeah,
like it's just kind of crazy the role he played in this movie
yeah,
in 2000. Um, um, but I mean, he's great in his role and being the comic relief,
yeah,
for
for
this movie
sure. Yeah,
for such a serious.
his character Danger has a really good quote. I think I texted Alex this. It just kind of cracked me up, but
It was kind of about how do they fit all this ice through that little hole, talking
yeah,
about
yes, yeah. I
the
thought I
the water
read,
puddle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, talking about the water bottle. It was like it was such a dumb. It was such a like dumb thing to laugh about, but just the way it's so like innocent, but it's also just it's like an obvious thing. I don't know. It just made me crack up. But I just thought Jay Baruchel was actually pretty good in this movie. Like, I did feel
Yeah.
like. Do you think they kind of wasted Anthony Mackie? I know this
Yeah,
is
no,
early Anthony Mackie, to be
Anthony
fair.
Mackie. Yeah. I mean, he just plays a punk. That's all he. I mean, he really
Yeah,
is. But that's that's why it's funny. I think like Jer Baruchel's character was much more prominent in this movie. Like,
yeah.
if you had to look, he would probably be the fourth on the bill, if he wasn't already, which is kind of crazy for some of the other people that are in this movie.
No,
Um,
great acting like across the board, really. I mean, even her like family, who I can't freaking stand.
yeah.
Holy crap, they're written so well because well, one, I know some people like that, but two, it's just they're just awful. I mean, you can't
Mhm.
get worse as human beings like in that situation, and it's so easy to root for Maggie,
Correct. Yeah.
like throughout this film, and like that made you want to root for her even more. And I love how this movie constantly teases you in the beginning. She's trying her best to push the envelope to get um, Clint Eastwood's character to train her. And then Morgan Freeman keeps trying to put some things in here and there to kind of push for it. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, no, a question I wanted to ask you. I actually have a couple on this film, but I'll try to make it quick. Do you think Actually, I'll save that question for last, but I'll ask this question. Would you have anything to say about this before? Because these are kind of ending questions.
I just think, this movie does a great job of, I think there's a lot of like strong themes of this movie about, perseverance and, um, like, I think Clint Eastwood basically adopted Maggie as his daughter when his daughter, basically just ignored him and didn't want anything to do with him, which I think there's a lot of parallel themes and things in this movie. I think, um, Maggie Maggie didn't want to be like was not really wanted by her family after she had success. They thought she was an idiot for pursuing what she did. And Clint Eastwood's, his daughter hadn't wanted nothing to do with him no matter what, how many times he reached out. And I think that's kind of to Clint Eastwood's character, Frankie's character, because he is so like stubborn and bullheaded that he didn't want to take Maggie on, didn't want to take Maggie on, didn't want to take Maggie on, even though she wanted his approval, even though he wanted his daughter's approval so much. And they ended up having like a daughter-father relationship, um, which was both what they both needed in that part of their life. The one problem I have with this movie is Clint Eastwood. Some of the things that he says to her in the beginning is that typical like old man, oh, you're just a girl. What are you doing here, girl? Like that kind of thing. It was like I get it at the beginning of just how that's how his character was, but I feel like at certain points it was a little bit too much. It was overkill. It was like, all right, get past this, old man. Come on, let's get like
Well, I think
I
they're
think.
they're continuing to show his stubbornness.
Sure. And I think Clint Eastwood did a great job, and Morgan Freeman, I think, really, I do agree that he definitely was amazing in this movie. I think the biggest thing that he brought to this movie was he kind of antagonized Clint Eastwood's character throughout the movie, and they
Yeah.
kind of antagonized each other. I think Morgan Freeman's character really pushed, um, Clint Eastwood, Frankie, to take Maggie on, and because you see in the beginning of the movie that his prize fighter is killing it, he's crushing it, he's winning every fight, but Clint Eastwood is too scared to really put him into a title match, which I think all really goes back to Morgan Freeman's career as a boxer. I think it's the movie's very much about Maggie, but it's very much, I think, more so about Clint Eastwood's life, really, than I
Yeah.
think they're just part of it. I mean, you realize at the end that the whole Morgan Freeman narrating throughout is really Morgan Freeman writing a letter to Clint Eastwood's daughter.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, we didn't even get into the part like this movie is incredibly sad.
Sure.
It is a
Yeah.
tough watch like towards the ending. Um I love this movie, but yes, it's not one of those movies that you consistently put on because that last and I forgot how long that last portion was when she does get
Mhm.
hurt. I kind of forgot how long that was because I went back and obviously watched this again. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is like it's impactful, but it really keeps you depressed for a good solid
Mhm.
30, 40 minutes or whatever it was. And but yeah, this movie very heartfelt, very sad, very impactful. I did want to ask you, like as far as the movie goes, uh that I kind of thought of, would you preferred that Maggie won the title before she got and then got hurt afterwards? Do you think it would have meant more of the story of her actually winning?
I think it doesn't really make a difference to the overall theme and message of the movie. I think that Hilary Swank's character, Maggie, the whole point of her character in the story of, like I said, I think the whole story is Frankie's life and she's just part of it, is that she's serving as what he has PTSD about, what he's scared of, what Frankie's anxious about, which is what you see throughout the whole movie. He's afraid of someone else getting hurt. Clearly, he already hurt his daughter. Morgan Freeman's blind in one eye because of him pushing him to keep going. The fighter he did have left him because he was too afraid to put him in a title match because he's afraid of that happening again. And I think it's just, regardless if she wins or not, I think it just shows the devastation that Clint Eastwood feels
Well, I guess my
for putting her in that position. And I think that it doesn't make a difference if she had won or wouldn't have won. And I think, honestly, I think it is better that she doesn't technically win in that movie,
I guess is
in that fight.
my thing. I pretty much agree with what you're saying. I guess the reason why I asked that is because, like, do you think is like like a generic or a general audience viewer that having that moment of her winning can offsets how sad the last 30 minutes is, and is like how a general viewer it wouldn't like they would at least got something out of it before you get to all that sad stuff. I mean, personally, I'm cool with what they did, but I was just like from a general like movie go or like not like somebody like us like that live and breathe movies.
Well, I think that this movie was made to be a complete gut punch, a complete roller coaster of emotions, the complete, you're feeling out the characters in the beginning, you're rooting for Hilary Swank's character, as she's rising, you're really rooting for her, and you're happy for her, you're excited about the next scene to see what fight she gets into, how high she's going to go, what happens next, to complete 180 that does happen. I think it's supposed to be, I think the movie is great because of how, wreckingly horrible it is with her getting injured and put in the state that she is medically, and you can tell, like, Frankie's character, Clint Eastwood's character, is devastated by his decision. He blames himself, and I think that is the point of the movie to me, is that's how life can be. And I think that's what makes the whole last 40 minutes so powerful, is even though everything that happened with him, Jackie's character or Frankie's character stuck by Maggie the whole time, never left, and they really did adopt her like as a daughter in his mind. Um,
This next question, you could just say yes or no because I know we're going long. Uh, was Frankie allowed to end Maggie's life at the end? Is that made clear? Because the nurse kind of disappears, and he does kind of bring I forget what was in the needle, but he kind of brings
gives
something.
her morphine. Yeah.
Okay, I
Is that
mean,
allowed? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
I mean, legally,
I'm
no.
asking Alex because Alex is a nurse. That's why.
No, legally you cannot do that. Like her family would technically have say in whatever decisions were made for her. If they wanted her to stay on a ventilator, she could stay on a ventilator. He has no say in that unless she signed paperwork that said he's, the decision maker, which that never happens. Morally, I think that was the right thing,
Yeah,
because clearly she
agreed.
wanted to die.
Agreed.
Which is like another part of this movie that I think, it deals with like just difficult situations in like Clint Eastwood, like I said multiple times, is devastated from past decisions. He's haunted by past decisions. And that's the same theme at the end. He's killing himself over if he should want like grant Maggie her wish and end her life, or just stay out of it like he thought he should have the whole time. I think, I mean that's obviously not legal.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, they could easily. I mean, the reality is, if that actually happened in real life, they could have arrested him because I basically he just killed her, more or
Yes.
less. But
Yeah.
he also disappears, kind of off the face of the earth. Like, I mean, they obviously
Yep.
show the pie
Gone.
shop, um, which they had talked about opening and buying and
And
things like
my
that.
my last question is just to do with the movie in general. Do you think? I mean, I think I know the answer to this. Do you think this is the best sports Oscar either nominated or winner? I mean, just to name a few that have been nominated or won:
Like
Moneyball,
Rocky,
Rocky, Blindside, Four V Ferrari, King Richard, Field of Dreams, Hoosiers. And there's a couple others, but those are like the
Moneyball's
big
very
ones.
good. I
Yeah,
would I would
Moneyball is
say
up there.
I would say this is I would say I would put me personally, I would put this above Moneyball. But it's very close. I think Rocky would be third out of those other ones you mentioned.
I'd probably have Rocky one, but they're so different because I mean Rocky is mostly uplifting with some sad stuff throughout, but I will say 4V Ferrari for me personally is right in that mix. I think that movie
you
is
know,
excellent.
I think I would put that fourth. That I mean that movie was amazing. I mean the same thing what you said about with the Aviator. You don't give a shit really about planes or aviation, but that's how I felt about the whole racing cars thing. But I was really like Ford versus Ferrari. Like it was very emotional at the end. It was very like
Yeah,
heartfelt and touching, which I did not expect going into that movie to have those
yeah.
feelings at the end.
But yep. So guys, that was Million Dollar Baby, our number one as far as our collective. Well, if number one for both of us too. Uh, Now we're gonna quickly get into some movies that we thought didn't get nominated. Maybe we should have. Yes, the Oscars during this time period only did five. I think it doesn't make a ton of sense that they only did five, but granted, I also think now you can do 5 to 10. I think 10 is kind of crazy too. I think 5 to 8 is a bit makes a bit more sense, but
Yeah.
uh, there are some movies. Do you want to throw out one quickly? I mean, I know I know one for sure that you were thinking of. I know that.
Yeah, The Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey, I think, is an amazing movie. Especially during this time, it fits in well. I think was like Million Dollar Baby, the similar themes. I love Kill Bill too, so I would put Uma Thurman in there for best actress. I don't know about best picture
You
necessarily,
wouldn't say.
but um,
Alex
I
is a
think
big
also another
Tarantino
one,
fan.
not another necessarily Best Picture, but I think Christian Bale for The Machinist definitely should have got like a Best Actor nomination. Um, along with Sideways and Paul Giamatti. I think he should also been nominated. I think those two definitely stood out to me as people that kind of got snubbed. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I had.
So yeah, I had a couple. I do agree with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Me and you were both on that. I just think the Academy hated Jim Carrey during this time period, and that's not like me trying to defend Jim Carrey. I think it was obvious because he has a couple movies during this period where he didn't get nominated, but he would get nominated by the Golden Globes, and I think he even won. And it's just like, what are we doing? Because like, I'm not saying the Academy or the Oscars does the exact same thing as Golden Globes, but they should correlate in some way. So they definitely had a thing out for Jim Carrey, which is unfortunate because I think today, if Jim Carrey did a movie like this, he had been nominated. This movie would have been. This movie did win
Mhm.
best. Was it best original or adapted? Eternal
I can't remember.
Sunshine.
I can look.
Yeah, while he was doing that, yeah. So yeah, so I had. Yeah, oh, one for original. I did have that down. And one for original screenplay. I will say one thing that people have said did hurt it is it did get released in March,
Yeah,
Eternal Sunshine, which I get,
that's just the
but like,
fatigue. Yeah,
but are we really
yeah,
gonna, do we really think Sinners isn't gonna get nominated? That came out in like freaking, what, January, February? I would be
yeah.
appalled if that movie doesn't get nominated, I'll say that. Um, so different times though. I feel like the Academy has definitely gotten better at a lot of those things. They still suck at a lot of it too, but Uh, another movie I had was Before Sunset. I love the
Hmm.
Before trilogy. Sunrise is the best, so like I'm not like uh too sad about it. This movie did get nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. Funny enough, Before Sunrise did. Uh, I mean, I would have liked to seen Ethan Hawke or Julie Delpy maybe get nominated for an Oscar.
Hmm.
Or even Linklater. I mean, I guess he got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, but some of the best dialogue and conversation you'll ever see in a movie. I love that trilogy. It's one of my favorite trilogies, underrated trilogy. If you've never seen the Before trilogy, definitely suggest it. And the one, actually, two other ones. One I know you like Garden State. I thought could have potentially snuck in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I think
I
like over. I think that Finding Neverland spot is kind of open. I think that was like almost like they had to put a fifth one in there, and that's kind of what they
Yeah.
threw in there.
Because you got to put Ray because of the performance, despite on how you feel about the movie, and the other ones I feel like had to be in there. So like yeah,
Yeah.
Finding Neverland was the debatable one, and I personally would have had Eternal Sunshine over Finding Neverland. I would have had Before
Mhm.
Sunset, and I would have had Garden State. Uh, I do think sometimes biopics just tend to get votes from the Academy to be nominations, even if they're good or bad. Because didn't Bohemian
Hmm.
Rhapsody get nominated for Best Picture? And that
Hmm.
movie like was mixed critic wise. So I just
Hmm.
feel like biopics tend to get love even when they don't really deserve so. I've not seen Bohemian Rhapsody, so I
Yeah.
don't hate me, but it's just stuff that I've heard. The last one for me is more I is where I tend to get shit. Like when I say stuff like this, well, maybe not shit, but like I do think the Oscars should put more into will this movie be remembered? How much impact this movie had when it came out, and how much impact. Granted, how much impact it has since then is kind of hard to judge during that time period. But like, I feel like this movie when it came out had a lot of impact. And I know it's not a typical Oscar film, but I think this movie is incredibly quotable. I think Mean Girls is one of the best movies of '04. I know that's probably a crazy take, but I think looking back though, if like Oscars worked in a different way, and you could go a couple years past that, or maybe 10 years past that, that movie is remembered more than any of the movies we've talked about for sure. Obviously, that's a different thing. That's not always the case of who wins and who
Hmm.
loses. That's my biggest problem with like a movie like Finding Neverland. I just don't think who's talking about Finding Neverland and
Never.
you
Yeah,
know
nobody. Like no one.
like even in terms of
There
Sunshine of the
was.
Spotless Mind is very like I feel like that the movie is still talked about and still
Mhm.
um another Kate Winslet movie, funny enough.
Yeah,
And
she actually did get nominated for that too.
oh,
She
did
got
she?
nominated for that. Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I just those are my options. Do you agree with or disagree with any of those, Alex? I know you probably don't agree with
I
Mean
mean,
Girls,
Mean
but
Girls, I don't think would ever. I mean, a comedy like that, I don't think would ever get nominated for Best Picture. I just it would never happen. There's no drama side to it. It's mostly just comedy. I just think it never. I agree, it's iconic. I mean, if you really think about what's what is still talked about to this day in like culture and common movies, people know that's one of them,
do you
without a
think
doubt.
though if Mean Girls came out in the last 5 years, it probably would have because of just word of mouth
I
and
mean, Barbie got nominated, so I wouldn't say never. So it's possible,
like just because like
but I
how
think also
big the
Barbie's more like
internet is, like just everything, like
right,
X
exactly.
and TikTok. Like I think Mean Girls would have been even bigger than it was when it came out. And I feel like I'm not
Yeah.
saying it would have won Best Picture by any means. And the fact that you get 10 nominations now, it's even more plausible that it would have
Mhm.
nowadays versus then. But yeah, my big one, like your big one, was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I just felt like that was just didn't. I just don't get it personally because I could argue it's the best movie of these. I would probably still go. I would probably personally still
Be
go
close for
with
me
yeah, but
between that and
between
Million Dollar Baby.
yeah, but it's debatable. Uh, uh, One last thing we got here before we close out. We have a ranking system. I am going to read off to Alex the ranking tier system I have for this. We're going to do this for each year going forward. Before we do that, can you quickly run through our collective ranking?
So we have Finding Neverland, we have a 74.5. Ray, we have a 76.5. Aviator, we have an 81 out of 100. Sideways, we have an 82 out of 100. And Million Dollar Baby, we have a 92 out of 100.
And going forward, we will not be doing the numbered ranking thing. It's going to be different. Well, we're going to have three or four people, so it's just going to be based off of like how much we like the movie. There's no going to be no numbered system to it. I'm not a huge fan of the numbered ranking system. I mostly just struggle with it. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, going forward, that will be a little bit different. But yeah, that's our order. Both of our orders are a bit different. I had Ray 5, Finding Neverland 4. I had Sideways 3, The Aviator 2, and Million Dollar Baby number 1.
Yeah, and I had my order was the order that we went in. So I had Million Dollar Baby, Sideways, Aviator, Ray, Finding Neverland. I think we're planning to do 2008
Yep.
as our next year. So let us know what year you want us to see us do and review. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's all we have planned for sure.
yeah. Definitely let us know down in the comment section, like what are some ideas that y'all have, and we'll definitely go with it. We were going to stay within the last 20 years. I think we're just going to branch off of that just because I don't know about doing some of the more recent years just because how many films there is, but we might still do that at some point. Just because it is easier to do like 5 films versus, how
And
many there is. Yeah, 10. And these videos will come out, I think, every 2, maybe 3 weeks. It depends on scheduling, so just stay tuned for them. But again, I am pulling up the ranking system. All right, Alex. So listen to this. So we got 5 options. I can't.
mhm.
So these are Let's see if I can show you on here. There you are. These are the five options that I came up with on the fly. We could always change them if there's someone out there that has better ideas. But there's five options. We got at the top, goated best pitcher year, or I should say years, I guess. Good to great, solid but will be forgotten, carried. Carried is kind of like one or maybe two of the movies, and the rest of them are not very good, and bad selections.
I
Um,
would I would put this in carried for me.
really, okay. Actually, I don't know
I
why I
think
said
Million
really.
Dollar Baby is just so much better than the other two. I mean, we differ between Sideways and Aviator, but our averages were low 80s, which I think is not that impressive for a
Yeah.
whole movies. Especially like when we're looking at, not to fast forward to our next year, but 2008 got heavy hitters, so much more heavy hitters in that. No Country for Old Men. You got There Will Be Blood, Atonement. I think there's much heavier movies will be more highly regarded for us going forward. Granted, not every year's a winner.
And there you go. I agree. At first I was gonna try to change my mind on that, change your mind on that, but yeah, I don't I can't it's tough. I almost don't want to say that, but like even if I think Aviator is close, I would still say those two would still count and carried. But I'm okay with going with that. It's hard for me to, the tough part is like solid but will be forgotten. I'm not sure. You could also maybe argue that because I don't know how many people are talking about Million Dollar Baby still, but uh, yeah, I
I
guess
don't
I'm
think
a
anybody talking about the other at all.
no. I mean, The Aviator. I definitely think people talk about The Aviator, but um, yeah, I don't have a good argument for not putting it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I am. I'm cool with that. I definitely like The Aviator
Okay,
quite a
agreeing
bit.
with me, Jamie.
What?
I said thanks for finally agreeing with
Oh
me.
yeah, no problem. But I'm cool with that. We'll go with that. I'm not gonna. But let us know. Did you like how it was set up? There's some things we need to change. Uh, is just give us like recommendations. Again, put your list in the comments section. Would love to know. Uh,
Let me know
who,
that I'm right and Jamie's wrong in the comments.
even though I don't feel like we disagreed as much as I thought we were going to. Like, well, we disagree on little things. I think there's some movie. I feel like there's some Oscars out there that we'll probably really disagree with. But yeah, we will be doing the 2008 Oscars, which is 2007 movies. So that should be a lot of fun. That's a pretty good year. Pretty good selections. Uh, and we'll see if how we feel about those. Again, I said 2 to 3 week time period. We're gonna have more people, three, maybe four. There might be some revolving doors here and there. I'll definitely be consistent. I don't know about Alex, consistent as you can be. Um, but this was definitely a lot of fun. We'll keep this going up until the Oscars. We will be covering the new uh, the or next year's Oscars, I should say, and the movies that come from that. So
Hmm.
hopefully, yeah, hopefully there's some good ones, and whatever they decide, some of those are. But any lasting things you want to say, Alex, before we get out of here?
No, I think that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll look forward to the next one.
Yep, and as always, guys, I will see you next time.